Well, hello pre-calculus students and general seekers of truth. In this video, we are going to continue our study of inequalities, absolute value inequality and quadratic inequalities in particular. And these two problems that we're asked to solve, we're going to do the opposite of what we've been doing recently, which is we're given an answer and we're expected to create the problem. So write an absolute inequality that has the following solution. And what I like to do here, let's start out with problem A, is actually begin by drawing ourselves a graph. So graphs are actually pretty nice, a very simple number line graph. The solutions here, so this would be 0. Let's change up some color here. So here would be negative 10, right? So our solution is everything and up to, but not quite including, from negative infinity to negative 10, and then from positive 10 onwards to positive infinity. So I can also write this in words that this is really saying the absolute distance, the distance from 0 is more than 10. Right? So in words I can just say this means the distance from 0 is more than 10. Right? The distance from 0 is more than 10. So the way that I write this absolute value inequality isn't that difficult. All I really need to do is say let the absolute value of x has to be greater than 10. The absolute value of x is greater than 10. And that's it, right? That's it. That's all there is to this problem. So when you have something that is symmetric around 0, it's pretty easy. Determine if it's greater than or less than, and use that symbol appropriately, and you're done. Okay. Now let us go on to part B, where maybe there's a little bit more nuance and difficulty in this problem. So I will do the exact same thing as I did before by starting out with a number line. And this time I have negative 8 and positive 10. Right, so, and this time my solution set is everything and including negative 8 to positive 10. So everything in here. Right? So this is all of my solution here, this blue line here. There are infinitely many solutions. Every point on this blue line segment here is a solution. But how do I write this as an absolute value, right? So that's where the tricky and the difficulty comes in. So one thing that we can try and do is find the middle. So we want to find some sort of symmetry, just like we did in part A. Notice part A is perfectly symmetric. There's the middle point here happens to be 0. You go 10 to the left, and you meet this significant point here. You move 10 to the right. So what's the middle here? Well, the middle isn't too hard to find. It's just the average of the two, right? So the middle is negative 8 plus positive 10 divided by 2. So that's just going to be 1. And so this is the middle here. And one way that we can say this is that the distance from 1, right? The distance from 1 is no more than 9. So if you think about it, what this middle point and this blue line segment means, this is, I'll write down here, this is the distance from 1 is no more, is no more than 9. In other words, all of my solutions is within 9 units of the number 1. Every number within 9 units of 1 is part of the correct answer. But how do we write that? How do we, make this into an absolute value expression? Well, we perform what is a very simple shift. Okay, so in order to write this as an absolute value, we're going to shift so that the middle point here is 0. So we're going to shift the center to 0. So I'm going to take that entire line segment, this line segment here, which currently goes between negative 8 and positive 10, and just shift everything over one unit to the left in this case. So in other words, what I'm effectively doing is I'm going to redraw my number line. Um, Here, instead of having negative 8, I'm going to have negative 9. Instead of having positive 10, I'm going to have positive 9. And you see how the symmetry shows up. And in the middle here, instead of having 1, I'm going to have 0. So I hope you see that this line right here and this line up here, or this picture up here, is exactly the same thing. It's just we've relabeled the number line. So in order to express that we've shifted something, let's use a variable here. So up here, let x represent everything on this blue line segment. And now that we've shifted everything, well, 1 unit to the left, so this is now x minus 1. Right? So we've shifted everything over to the left 1 unit. So now we can write the absolute value expression as follows: x minus 1, the absolute value of x minus 1 is less than or equal to 9. And you can see this statement right here, which is our final answer, and this statement right here, which we've written in words, is really saying the same thing. X is the solution, and the distance between x and 1 is no more than 9. The distance from 1, right? So the distance of x from 1 is no more than 9. It's no more than 9. Right? So this process here, let's review here. It seems confusing at first, but there's a beautiful simplicity to it. You sketch out the picture, find the center, and then shift the center to 0 so that we can capture it as an absolute value expression. Okay? And this is meant to make you think a little bit. It shouldn't be automatic at the very beginning. It's going to take a little bit of thinking, but this is part of the process. As always, keep working hard. Ask for help if you need it. Thank you for watching, and have a wonderful